Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. If you've ever watched a championship game, you know victory isn't just about raw power, right? It's about strategy, specialized roles, and absolute precision. Well, today we're breaking down the medical equivalent of a Super Bowl playbook. We're looking at polymer and biopolymer nanocomposites and seeing exactly how these microscopic materials are teaming up to tackle some of our absolute biggest healthcare challenges. Here's the game plan for today. First, we'll meet the medical MVPs. Then, we'll run through the precision medicine playbook, look at rebuilding the tissue stadium, check out the two-way players known as theranostics, and finally, wrap up with how we secure a sustainable winning season.
Section 1. Meet the medical MVPs, synthetics versus biopolymers.
So to really get this medical revolution, we have to look at the roster. At the core, we have polymers. They're essentially the backbone of our squad. On one side of the locker room, we have the veterans. These are the synthetic polymers. Think highly engineered, medical-grade plastics. They're mechanically tough, highly tunable. But they're non-natural, which means their long-term presence can sometimes draw a penalty flag, like an unwanted immune response. Facing off against them, we've got the homegrown rookies. These are the biopolymers. They come from natural sources, like chitatin from crab shells, literally crab shells, or alginate from seaweed. They are incredibly biocompatible, totally biodegradable, but, well, the catch is they're mechanically weaker. They just don't always have that brute strength for the heavy lifting. But here's where it gets exciting. When we combine these polymers with nanoscale fillers, stuff like silver nanoparticles or biological minerals, we transform these regular players into true MVPs. We create nanocomposites. It's kind of like giving a rookie elite performance gear. You take a natural biopolymer, reinforce its structure, and boom, suddenly it has the mechanical strength of a veteran, plus the natural agility to move completely undetected through the human body.
Section 2. The precision medicine playbook, targeted and smart delivery. Now, how do these MVPs actually run the offense? Well, the whole strategy of biomedical science is shifting. We are officially ditching the old Hail Mary approach to drug delivery. You know the drill. Taking a pill that just floods your entire system, hoping it hits the right target, but causing all sorts of collateral damage and side effects along the way. Instead, the focus is entirely on precision, highly targeted, personalized plays. These smart nanocomposites run an absolutely flawless multi-stage play. First, they read the defense. Tumor environments, for example, are usually more acidic than healthy tissue. Smart, stimuli-responsive polymers detect that exact pH shift. Next, they make the cut. The polymer physically reacts to that acidity. It swells or degrades. And finally, they score. They drop the payload, releasing therapeutic agents directly at the diseased site. It's an offensive scheme that hits the opponent and completely spares your healthy tissue. And get this, they don't just read pH levels, they read temperature too. Take this one synthetic smart polymer. It acts as a temperature-triggered release system that activates at exactly 32 degrees Celsius. Below that, it holds onto the drug like a running back protecting the football. But during a localized hyperthermia treatment, when doctors intentionally heat up a tumor site, the polymer actually undergoes a phase transition. It collapses and drops the drug exactly where the doctors called the play. Checking out the lineup of these carriers, the versatility is just insane. Chitosan acts selectively, dropping anti-cancer drugs based purely on acidity. Magnetic cellulose nanocomposites, doctors can literally steer them from the outside using magnetic fields. It's remote-controlled medicine. And alginate nanocarriers act like an autonomous offensive coordinator, actively tracking a diabetic patient's blood glucose and just automatically adjusting insulin delivery on the fly. Section 3. Rebuilding the tissue stadium, regenerative medicine, and scaffolds. Moving to our next strategy, let's talk regenerative medicine. Sometimes the body's infrastructure takes such a bad hit it just can't heal itself. We literally have to rebuild the stadium. We do this with nanocomposite scaffolds, and every tissue needs its own custom blueprint. For bone, you need a material that can take a hit, right? So we pair rigid minerals with strong plastics to handle the mechanical loads. Cartilage needs to be a shock absorber, so we mix flexible polymers with graphene. For skin, we use soft hydrogels packed with silver nanoparticles to fight infection. And now, thanks to 4D bioprinting, doctors can actually print these scaffolds to flawlessly match a patient's exact anatomy. The absolute key thing to remember here is that these scaffolds, they aren't just passive benches for cells to sit on. They're active coaches. To quote the research, they serve as temporary support structures for cell adhesion, proliferation, and differentiation, guiding tissue regeneration. They literally direct the body's cells on how to rebuild. And the best part, once the natural tissue grows back stronger, the biopolymer scaffold just slowly degrades and leaves the field entirely. Section 4. Theranostics. Two-way players. Diagnostics meets therapeutics. Okay, now we're entering the really futuristic part of the playbook. In traditional medicine, you have the defense, the diagnostics, and the offense, the therapeutics. But theranostics? These are nanocomposites engineered to be the ultimate two-way players. They run offense and defense simultaneously on a single platform. They find the disease, diagnose it, instantly deliver the therapy, and then monitor real-time to see if it's actually working.
Look at some of the heavy hitters in this lineup. Chitosan Gold nanocomposites can literally light up an MRI so doctors can spot a tumor, and in that exact same breath, they can be triggered to heat up and destroy those cancer cells. Then you have wearable biosensors made of natural silk tracking inflammation right through your sweat. Add AI into the mix, and these composites analyze a patient's live data to tweak drug dosages on the fly. It's basically like having a genius-level coach inside your bloodstream calling audibles based on exactly what the defense is doing minute by minute.
Section 5. A sustainable winning season. Eco-friendly materials and global impact. An elite team doesn't just win one game, right? They build a dynasty, and they make sure they leave the field better than they found it. Today, the challenge isn't just curing disease. It's doing it without trashing the environment. Traditional synthetic polymers are petroleum-based. They don't biodegrade. That means mountains of medical waste. And for patients, it sometimes means a completely separate, invasive surgery just to pull an implant out after it's done its job. The ultimate goal here is to sub out those synthetics for fully renewable biopolymers. The next generation of sustainable healthcare is going to look like something straight out of science fiction. Using biopolymers from cellulose, silk, and lignin, we are talking about bioresorbable implants that just safely melt into the body once a bone heals. We're looking at edible drug carriers instead of plastic syringes. Even the pharmaceutical packaging will be smart and compostable, changing color if a drug degrades, but totally breaking down in a compost bin to support a zero-waste circular economy. But this goes way beyond green packaging. These cost-effective biopolymers are stepping up to fight the absolute toughest opponents in global health, neglected tropical diseases like leishmaniasis and Chagas. These diseases hit low-income regions incredibly hard, and the old treatments are often super toxic or require massive, expensive doses. By packing these drugs into biopolymer nanocarriers, we hugely boost solubility. That means lower doses, way fewer side effects, and we can even beat drug-resistant strains of the diseases. It is a massive game changer for medical accessibility worldwide. So as artificial intelligence, 4D bioprinting, and green nanotechnology keep leveling up, these nanocomposite playbooks are only going to get smarter, faster, and more precise. The science is already leaving the lab and hitting clinical trials, totally shifting how we heal. So I'll leave you with this. As these targeted, eco-friendly, two-way players keep rewriting the rules of medicine, how quickly are you ready to let these microscopic MVPs redefine your own healthcare journey?